The Indian dairy. You'll find one in almost every suburb. Indians have brought a distinctive richness and culture to New Zealand, and many have an obvious business savvy and willingness to work long hours. Along with fabulous food and humour, many have also brought Hindu faith. My guest this morning embodies all these things. Raj Varma is one half of a thriving Kiwi theatre company, Those Indian Guys. Together with Taran Mohunbai, they have fellow Kiwis rolling in the aisles with sellout productions. The latest is From India with Love.
You know what? I heard that the New Zealand government gives you money for doing nothing.
Money for nothing?
Oh.
We're not selling to New Zealand, Pushpa. We're selling to heaven.
They've toured the show throughout the country, accompanied this time by Raj's new wife, American actress Jess Underwood.
It's my husband, the drag queen.
This is how I was dressed when she first met me.
Raj has a successful theatre, stage and TV career, acting in everything from Shortland Street to Xena Warrior Princess. But no matter how successful he becomes, he still gets calls to play the Indian dairy owner.
I'm always playing dairy owners or taxi drivers, and they'll always write this crap because that's their perception of it, and you always have to go in and negotiate it. It's very rare, and it's refreshing if I get given an Indian role that I don't have to kind of like go, wow, this is a bit and that's a bit. But that's okay.
Yeah. And in fact, your own shows caricature those very caricatures.
Yeah, we like to say we own our stereotype. So we take the stereotype and we just amplify it and have fun with it. And we just poke as much fun as we can at ourselves and push those boundaries. And we've also been experimenting with, you know, as we've gotten more into it, we've gone, well, people seem to laugh the most when it's honest. You know what I mean? Like when the gags are really based on truth, they laugh harder. So then we've experimented, because we've had this wonderful opportunity to perform the shows continuously for 4 years. So we've experimented with the audiences and put in more stuff which is more edgy. Like there's really racist lines in there now, and there's all these pokes we take about being, you know, Indian in New Zealand, or being in New Zealand, India, as opposed to an Indian, you know, and the perception.
Huh? You just live in this big flash house with these bad taste bead curtains and watch Indian movies all day.
Deepak, watch your mouth. Otherwise, I'll tell your grandfather to spank you. Huh?
Yeah?
Huh?
Well, I'll call the police and they'll have you arrested for child abuse.
Police don't worry about child abuse, beta. They're too busy dealing out police abuse.
We've used like the Bollywood genre with regards to the musical element of it in the show, where our characters will spontaneously break into song and dance, you know, and people find it really entertaining. I think it's really exciting how that genre, that Bollywood kind of style is becoming more mainstream. It's good for me in my career, because, you know, there may be more roles for me.
You've been successful as an actor.
I have, yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, you've had a lot of different roles. You've had television roles. You've been you've played Krishna on Xena.
Yes.
But it led to some notoriety in India.
Yes, it did.
What happened?
The episode was banned by religious fundamentalists in India who, they were really funny. They thought that they didn't want this lesbian icon to be associated with an Indian deity in the same episode, and then it got
you could have one or the other.
Yeah, and then it got skewed by the tabloids over there, and there was a report that was saying that, you know, Krishna was portrayed as a lesbian. So I don't know what happened, but yeah, it was quite funny. It was banned and they were simply a bit, you know, they're very protective of the way that the Indian fundamentalists are very protective of the way that Indian deities are portrayed in the Western media.
Right.
You know, of course they're going to be, you know, it's precious to them. So they were very dubious about it. But when I played Krishna, actually, I took the script into my mother, and you know, she read it, and I said, "Is it okay?" And there's the things, "What do you think, Mum?" And she goes, "No, it's good." She gave it the big thumbs up.
All right. So mother said yes, so it was okay.
Yeah, so I just went in there and said, "Okay, Americans, I can do it. I'm not going to get strung up by no Hindus. Let's do this."
Please, Ram, my lord, help me.
Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram.
You involve the gods in your shows as well.
Yeah, that was a big call for us in From India with Love, but we just chose, Taran and I chose to do it.
Yeah.
And we just wanted the characters to ask help from the gods, and then we thought, okay, well, let's make the gods appear. So we had this elaborate shoot where I got dressed to be made to look like a romantic image of Ram, because Ram is portrayed as blue.
Right.
And so I was painted full body blue and wore this beautiful costume and looked just like the romantic imagery of him. And Taran got a prosthetic and was made to look like Hanuman, like the monkey god.
Yeah.
And we shot these sequences where the gods come out and our characters on stage talk to these video sequences of the gods reacting to them.
Please, Ram, help Manre find a job.
Would you please stop that? As you wish, my king of Ayodhya. Thank you, Hanuman. Now, Pushpa. I thought I told you to stop that. Sorry, my lord. I got carried away. You're so enthusiastic. Yes. Yes, I am enthusiastic.
Hello, S2 deities. Come in, deities. Hello.
Sorry, Pushpa.
Okay.
You've got the gods in the show, but you're actually very respectful. They're funny,
Yeah.
but you're very respectful of them.
Yeah, well, yeah. Taran and I really tried to make sure that they weren't lampooning around, and we actually asked both our parents. He asked his parents, I asked my mum if what we were doing was offensive. And actually my mum was on set when we shot their stuff, so she was pretty good about it, and she was saying, that's fine, you know. It's okay, you know, like, as long as they're not portrayed in a really negative light. I mean...
But it's okay for them to be modestly humorous.
Modestly humorous, yeah. The gods don't try to be funny in the show. They react to things that are being... We lampoon on stage and they kind of react to us, going, what are these guys doing? You know, so they maintain an air of dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and your husband are not alone. Someone will come who will show you the way.
Oh, thank you, Ram.
You can go now.
Okay, bye now.
Okay. Goodbye.
Okay, goodbye, Ram.
Yes. Goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye. See you later. Spot you around.
What would you say are the influences, the primary influences on where your spiritualities come from?
It's come a lot from seeing my mother when I was a child and experiencing the rituals of Hinduism in my family. When
Was she a devout Hindu?
Yeah, mum's a devout Hindu.
What does that mean? Tell me what a devout Hindu looks like.
What do they look like?
Yeah.
Like my mum.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my mum does puja every morning, so she has a temple at home, which has pictures of deities and statues of deities. She's got Durga and Kali, then she's also got Krishna Bhagwan in there, and she's got Ram and Vishnu and Hanuman. And there's normally a tray, and in the tray there's some coins as well, which are like an offering to God. Okay. And then there's like a diya, which is like got clarified butter in it and a little wick, and you light that every time you pray. Every morning you fill it up and light it. And then there were religious festivals which we marked. You know, there was Diwali, which is the New Year's, in Indian New Year's, you could say, which is a festival of light, which we would celebrate at home. And then there would be fasts. She would fast on particular days and, you know, not eat meat on a particular day. I mean, being Hindu, you're not meant to eat meat anyway, but because I'm a Kiwi Indian, I eat meat. Yes.
Okay, so we've got that confession out there. That's good.
Yes, it's out there. Yeah, I actually do eat beef, which is a big no-no in Hinduism. But I guess I'm not an orthodox Hindu, so.
When you were growing up, though, did you participate in these rituals as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely do prayers with Mum in the morning, and you know, I would kind of find it enriching for me to pray, you know. I feel it's really active. It's an affirmation of all the good things that you value, and I always found that when I was young to be a great kind of like, it was like a tonic.
Yes.
Like when I was really young, I didn't really think that it would, I didn't really have any idea of what it was. But I knew that if I prayed to God, in the morning with Mum, and if I did a prayer, then that means that I'm starting my day off with a little bit of, spiritual bank account that I can take withdrawals out of. Yeah. Like I've got some money, putting away some money there, some spiritual money.
Give you some option to do some less good things later.
Yeah, absolutely. Get away with it,
So as a child, it was secure. There was this kind of ritual that was going on. Did anything happen to change that? I guess I'm thinking particularly of when you went back to India.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a very, at the time I didn't know what was going on, but looking back on it, I knew it was a very big turning point in my life. So when you're 12 years old and you're growing up in Mount Wellington in New Zealand, and you go all the way back to India, and then you're surrounded by your whole family, cousins, aunties and uncles, which you don't have here, that immediately is a big paradigm shift, and you're in a different environment. And then my grandmother passed away, and when she did, I was there when she actually passed, and I was part of the whole funeral ceremony. You cremate a body in India, and then once it's cremated, the next day you go through the ashes, and you pick out any bones that haven't burnt, because it takes high heat to incinerate bone. And then you wash the bones in holy water, put it into a pail or into a bundle, and then you take those bones to the river Ganges or Haridwar, and you scatter the bones and any remaining ashes as well. Anyway, that experience really changed me.
What effect did it have?
I think when I came back to New Zealand, it was as a 12-year-old experiencing that, then coming back to this environment and meeting my mates who hadn't experienced anything like that. It kind of made me feel a bit isolated a little bit, and a little bit, I felt different. And I felt like I had this understanding of this ritual, which nobody else did. So it made me feel a bit displaced. And I don't think that I kind of got my feet on the ground very well after that. I didn't quite adjust well back to New Zealand for a while.
How did you resolve that? Have you resolved that?
Well, it's taken me most of my life to resolve it, and it's been a source of great anger and frustration for me throughout the period of my life. And it's been compounded by the fact that I have pursued a career as an artist here. Obviously in show business, who you are and your identity is judged, and you get work or you don't get work because of that.
Yeah.
I would probably lead off with One Night.
And then Xena, and then this.
Yeah, it's the strongest. Xena's a hard one because you're blue. You're playing a deity.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Yeah, that's right.
I've gone through the whole gamut in my life with my identity. I've negated it. I pretended that I was white.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to be Indian. Then I embraced it and got really political and didn't want to know about anybody who wasn't Indian. Yeah. And then I kind of I think I'm coming to a bit of more of a middle ground now. And I think that just comes from, again, it's not about like out there how people treat you. It really is about, in me, how comfortable I am with who I am and where I stand. Because I know that if I am comfortable with who I am, then people around me will be comfortable with me normally.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I'm not comfortable with who I am and I've got a bone to pick about my identity, normally, that will reflect on me, and it can cause me problems. So I think it's about, I just came to the understanding that my blood is from India and that my culture is from India, but my feet are on the ground here in New Zealand, and I have a spiritual outlook which has been informed by living in this country as well.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Oh, look at this one. The burning.
And when you filmed your own theatre company,
Yeah.
the kind of that connection with the land was part of what you were seeking to embrace in some way too.
With the Indian Theatre Company, I would chair these meetings with 13 of us, and we would just talk about things which we wanted to maybe make a play about.
Right.
So it was a real amazing amalgam of minds and points of view, and the theme that came out organically through that was identity.
Right.
And then we created a show based around those themes, working together. So that for me calmed me down a lot. I kind of settled in myself after Yatra, and because I had to realize who I am. And then I started creating comedy, taking the mickey out of being Indian, and then the universe rewarded that, and those shows have gotten a life of their own that I've raced behind.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look, your well-being's of concern to me, man. Here, I'll make sure you're on the minimum wage before you know it.
Well, if that's the case, can we only declare half to the government?
I wasn't going to declare any to the government.
Oh, Philip, you may talk like a white man, but you think like an Indian.
I miss Panjumi, man.
I'm a firm believer that I'm never, 100% in control of my life. The more I try to control my life, the more unhappy I get. And my wife always points it out to me, as does my mum. And I think that, it's normal. I think everybody wants a sense of control in their life. But I've learned that in this industry, there's so much control that you're stripped of as an actor. You don't have control over who the casting agent is going to cast. You don't know what the producers want, You get a brief, you go for an audition, you wait to see how your luck plays out. And I found that the universe will always give me enough to keep going in this life. And I try to be thankful for stuff that I get, That's changed the way that I look at my life. And I'm not saying that, I'm Guatemala the Buddha. I'm not saying that I'm like that spiritually evolved, but I know in my heart that that looking for gratification through external things is going to make me unhappy. So, I focus on things that aren't necessarily always external. So good feelings I get from somebody during the day, somebody says something positive to me in the day, I make a note of it, and I take those as rewards from the universe,
How would you describe your spirituality?
I think I've taken concepts that my mother taught me when I was a child that were really simple concepts. Like she taught me about karma, which is, action, reaction. And she said, be thankful, thank God, And for me, that was pretty much, that's the simple basis for my practice, is just to know that the energy I put out comes back to me. So if I'm grumpy and in a crap mood, and I'm putting that out, then that comes back to me.
In some way?
I make somebody else grumpy.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'll make my wife grumpy, or I'll make my mother grumpy, or I'll make my business partner grumpy, But if I'm positive and optimistic about stuff, it spreads that, like a smile will spread. It's a very basic concept. If I do something bad to somebody, which I don't normally do.
Right. Yes.
9 times out of 10 they'll do something bad to me, you know what I mean? Or if somebody does something bad to me and I get resentful about it.
That's the return.
Yeah, but that resentment that I have is only hurting me.
Right.
So and that's in me. So it's like I'm in charge of my own karma as well. Like what comes to me as well, I'm in charge of how I process that as well. So that's my challenge. That's the challenge I set myself as an individual, to try to be bigger than learn to be better than those who put you down.
Right. Rise above that and to
Rise
continue to put out positive things.
Yes, and that is just quite frankly the hardest
thing
about life, because come on, we're not all saints, we don't all have halos over our head. We live in this world that doesn't.
You got that from your mother?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I got those teachings from my mum, and she would also say about karma that if there was a bad person, because you get rotten eggs, that their karma will get them later, You don't have to worry about those people.
Divine justice will out.
The divine justice will out, absolutely. And I believe that. And I believe that there is actually a universal law of action and reaction.
You can never stop anybody from doing anything better. But you can become better than those that put you down.
And if you get bored of that, you can always graze them in the goolies.
And then focus on becoming the world's fastest Indian.
Dharma.
Dharma. Or Dharma.
Dharma. Dharma. How should I say that?
Well, I always get confused because some people say Krishan, some people say Krishna.
Yeah.
And people argue either way.
Does it depend where you're from?
Yeah, I mean, in India, well, everybody calls him Krishan.
Yeah. Okay.
But other people say Krishna.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay.
I'll just be a Kiwi guy and be confused
Krishna.
about it.
Yeah.
So it's either Dharam or Dharma. So, but either way, it's the concept of ultimate purpose and following your ultimate purpose, following your bliss. So I kind of equate it to that, really.
Following your bliss. That's
Following
an
your
expression
bliss.
we've all heard, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. I first heard that with Joseph Campbell.
Right.
Have you?
Yeah. So how did you start reading Joseph Campbell?
Joseph Campbell was introduced to me at drama school.
Right.
We
Well, that
watched,
figures, yeah.
Yeah, the storytelling, you know, and the power of myth.
Yep.
And that was a huge learning for me, you know, understanding about metaphor being, you know, everywhere and how that's a great way of communicating spiritual concepts to somebody.
So if you go to the temple,
Yeah.
what would you do?
I wash my hands before I go in as a sign of respect. I touch the ground of the temple steps as I enter. I take my shoes off. I don't go in there in my gumboots.
That's respect again.
Yes, yeah. I take my shoes off, and then I always try to enter a temple facing the deities, and then when I'm in the temple, I try not to turn my back on them. I go in with my hands like this, and I bow my head, and I normally go to a particular deity that I'm feeling like I want to pray to, and I pray. Sometimes I'll look at the deity and remember all the things that deity means to me, and close my eyes and focus on that. And then I'll do my own prayers as well, my personal prayers, thanking for what I've got, wishing good for these people, hoping that God will take care of those people over there, you know, just hoping that obstacles will be removed. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are the trinity of gods in Hinduism. And Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the preserver, and Shiva is the destroyer. You know, there's a cycle of creation, preservation, destruction.
When you talk about the gods, are they a reality or are they a metaphor? And if they are, what are they a metaphor for?
Yeah. Well, I have a fondness for the Indian deities, for the Indian gods, because I grew up with them. So if you grow up with something in your household every day and they're revered, you know, you develop an affinity for that just because you've grown up with it, you know. So, I mean, I've always loved Hanumanji and the stories of Hanumanji because he incorporates courage and valor. And his big thing is that, you know, when Hanuman, he rips open his own heart, there's these pictures of this lion going, ripping open, and inside his heart is Ram and Lakshman, I think. So that's God, you know, Ram is God on earth.
Right.
Like he's like well, not Jesus. I'm going to get it wrong and people are going to... No, but it's like he's an incarnation of Vishnu on earth.
Okay.
Okay. So it's God is in my heart, basically, as a symbolism.
Right. So these stories and these gods are not realities in themselves so much as vehicles. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I view them that way. A lot of people view the gods as, you know, absolutely real.
Yep.
And I believe in what they represent, and that those values are absolutely real. And I can still benefit by going to the temple and praying to Hanuman. Because when I'm praying to Hanuman, I'm affirming the values that Hanuman represents for me, which is courage and strength and having God in my heart, you know? And that, if anything, makes me a Hindu. When I pray to those gods, I'm just praying to an aspect of myself that I want to develop in that godly way, you know? And sometimes I don't pray to any of the deities at all. I just pray to the universe and God as one energy. So, I mean, my perception of God is that God is one energy and that energy is universal and that everything flows from that energy and returns to that energy and is a product of that energy. Being an actor and following my heart, which is what I've done all my life, has kind of one of the negatives of that lifestyle is that you're deprived of security. You know,
Yes.
you're definitely deprived of stability and security in your life, and you're always at the whim, at the mercy of other powers that be, with regards to whether or not you get an audition or a role. So when you're doing that, you have to develop a sense of faith within yourself, and you have to. Well, I've had to figure out a way of maintaining my balance in myself and my positivity.
And prayer plays a role in that.
Prayer has definitely played a role many times. Oh God, please, please let me win this audition, please.
But you can caricature that, but in fact that's real.
It's real. It's real. It's real. There's this cliche that, you know, a lot of people only turn to God when they really need God.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and I think that. For a long part of my life when I was younger, that would be the way. I'd be happy Larry, and then when things would go bad, I would turn to God.
Right,
And
yeah.
I'd go, please, God, please, you know, please help me through this, you know, please give me strength, God,
Yeah.
give me courage.
Shanti Shantir Bhavatu Sarvarishtra Santir Bhavatu Om.
You know, God isn't just something that's going to give to me every time I want it. I mean, I felt like God is an energy that gives and receives, you know. So I now try to focus on things that I do have, and I try to thank God every day for what I've got, you know. And I just focus every day on the things that I have and that I'm grateful for. And that's a practice, you know. It's a spiritual practice. I think prayer and being thankful is a practice, because life takes you away from that. You know, you get caught up with the problems that you have.
Oh, thank you, Ram. You're the best.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
And you're so handsome.
Cheers for that.
Sita is a lucky lady.
Stop it now, you're making me blush.
Hey, Ram.
The show's been very successful. Do you see it evolving further?
Yeah, we want to get out of theatre and work more on television, but I definitely feel like I want to start focusing on stuff that isn't comedy based again. I just feel compelled to try to. I was on my bliss when I was doing the Untouchables Collective, working with that big group of Indian people exploring those themes, and I really want to go back to that kind of an environment where I don't know. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with comedy and making people laugh. I think that really helps, but I think that there's a kind of primal desire in me to try to create stuff that will resonate on a different level. So hopefully the future might see me doing something more like that, really. Or just going to LA and, you know, making lost stacks of cash.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.